And we're live. This is going to be Deep Thoughts with Rin, and today we have Dirty and Fresh. Just so you guys know what's going on today, it's just going to be us talking about philosophical or just like random things that are kind of weird, because I'm weird. There might be vape stuff if you have questions over there, but we're going to talk about today probably ghost stories and just ghosts in general, just so you guys know what's going on. Hi, Fresh. Hi, Dirty.
Guys know what's going on today.
And there we go.
It's just going to be us talking about.
Fresh, why'd you do that?
Oh man, my bad, Rin. My bad. You know me. I gotta leave it running. I gotta leave it running for a minute. Make sure everything's up and running right. Let me share this real quick. Share that we're doing stuff.
So since it's Halloween, we figured ghosts would be a really good place to start with this kind of thing. But I plan on doing this probably at least once a week. It's just the time and day is going to vary because I just want to make sure that nobody else has shows. And I don't know, that's kind of hard to do because it's like every day there's something going on. So unfortunately I don't have like a schedule for you. It'll just kind of be whenever. So I don't know if Dirty wants to start or I can start.
What are we starting with?
Well, we can talk about some vape stuff if you have anything going on to kind of lead up to the ghost thing.
I don't have anything going on vape-wise to lead to the ghost thing. I mean, I'm going to be on Fagan's show tonight with Suck My Mod, which should be pretty cool.
Nice.
That's one vape-related thing I really got going on. Interesting ghost story, and this is the story I wanted to tell isn't one that like I saw, but I was there for a witness, and it happened in an area that I'm very very familiar with. And what happened was that my birthday's in December, and every birthday from age like 9 on, most people didn't come to my birthday because it was December, and usually right around Christmas vacation for school, and nobody ever shows up. So I would always just take a group of friends, 4 or 5 friends, and my parents and my grandmother. They've worked at Disney forever, so we'd just go to Disney. And we'd stay the night at my grandmother's house and go to Disney next day. But this night that we stayed at my grandmother's house, it happened to be a couple years after my grandfather had passed away. He had passed away there at that house. He was drinking like he usually was at night, but he went out to water his tomato garden, and the pool was drained because they were resurfacing the pool. And while he was watering the tomato garden, he took a step, one too many steps backwards, and fell into the deep end. So he'd been passed away a few years, and we were up playing Sega Genesis, I think Mortal Kombat at the time, and one of my buddies who was there, Jason Horn, he goes, "Hey, who's the old fat guy in underwear that just went into the kitchen?" And without thinking, I'm like, "Oh, that's Pop Pop." And about a minute sank in. I was like, "What? Who did you see?" He goes, "Yeah, it was an old guy, a guy with a big, huge pot belly, just wearing tighty whities. He walked into the kitchen." I was like, "Wait a minute." So we all jump and we look in the kitchen. I don't see him there. And he was like, "What are you freaking out for?" I was like, "Because the image you're describing, everything he talked about was like, that's Pop Up. And unless you've been here and seen him, then you would never have known that. He could describe his face because there's pictures everywhere, but to describe his pot belly and he'd be wearing tighty whities, because when I used to stay the night there, that was a common occurrence, seeing Pop Up walking down the hallway in his tighty whities. But it was eerie to see that he saw that image there. And my grandmother used to always talk because she's Filipino and very superstitious, and she's seen a lot of paranormal activity. She always said that she felt him there, and she still lives there. She still says she feels him there, and she doesn't want to leave that house because of that. But it's pretty predominant with the ghost thing, and kind of what my theory is with what some of the, I guess, sightings of ghosts are.
Which are what?
Almost like a remnants of history there.
Residual hunting.
Residual, yeah, it's just a residual memory or something there, because it was him doing a normal task that he would do every day.
Right.
Late at night, walk into the kitchen to get a snack.
Yeah, that's my theory. Like, I used to think they were spirits, but looking back, because I was young when I started having, sightings or whatever you would want to call them, and the more research I did and just looking back on my experiences, it seems like it was almost like either a time distortion or just like you said, just like, and I don't know why it happens, but it's just like a residual thing where it's just that person doing the regular thing, and for whatever reason you're seeing it, kind of like a recording on a tape.
Yep.
I have a theory or speculation that it might have something to do with like minerals in the ground, because it only seems to happen in certain places, like where like the deposits are kind of absorbing the energy and it's just kind of replaying. Because in my experiences that I've had, very, very, like a lot of them, they never really interact with me. They're just there.
Yeah.
While it's very creepy, I never really got a negative thing, except for possibly one was a little bit kind of weird, but for the most part they were just there, and they didn't really seem to notice me, and they never really had too much of an intelligence. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. One thing, if you're interested in paranormal, I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but they're called Paratopia. They used to do a podcast. I don't know if they do anymore, but they have extensive podcasts just on various things, topics that aren't like mainstream paranormal that you might not have heard of before. Yep. And it's very interesting if you guys want to check it out sometime.
Yeah, I'll definitely check them out.
Yeah. Fresh, have you had any weird stuff?
Thinking back, trying to think, the weirdest thing I ever had happen. I was in high school, and we invited this cat over to my place because my parents were out of town. So of course it's party central that weekend, and so we're all hanging out, and for some reason the dude had a Ouija board with him. So he started messing with the Ouija board, and then he's like, "I'm gonna open a circle in your place." So from like that point forward, for the rest of the night, just really weird shit started happening. Like the one experience that I had, I went into my room and I kicked these two out because they were making out on my bed, and I wasn't cool with that at all. And my cat was in there, my cat Chester.
That's too far.
Yeah, I know. With my cat in the room, can you believe that shit? So I was like, Chester, can you believe that, or something like that? And she just like looked up at me and she was like, ah. And she never did. She never made sounds like that. Never did anything like that. It was really bizarre to me. You know, I've been to some pretty creepy ass places. Like you know, you're in Boulder, Colorado, and you want to go check out the Overlook Hotel. Obviously, you know, it's one of those things you have to do. Right, I'm talking about the right thing, right? The Overlook.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Where the stand was shot.
Yep.
And you wander around in that place, and it's a pretty fucking creepy place. Just these great big huge long hallways, and everything's so quiet all the time, and just because it's kind of away from everywhere. You get kind of eerie feelings in places like that, but I never really had anything odd happen to me. Maybe it's the way my mind works. I'm more of a logic person. I can explain everything away if you give me enough time. So,
not the things that I've experienced. I think you would have trouble with some of them, but
I probably would, and in the end, I'd probably be like, oh, well, all right, that was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I really and honestly don't know how I would react in the situation, because I honestly have never been in all that many creepy situations. Like I said, I've wandered around creepy places. I'm from Montana. There's abandoned farmhouses and stuff all over the place. You go check that stuff out as a kid. You know, that's awesome. You know, it's something awesome to do, and you know, you're wandering around, you get a really strange vibe, and you're like, dude, we got to get out of here. Something weird is happening right now.
Yeah, I do think that some people are more sensitive than others for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a sensitivity thing. The other like residual one we used to see, my sister was the one that used to spot it all the time. It was a house we lived in Orlando. It was right across from NTC Orlando, the Naval Training Center. Mm-hmm. In our house on Teal Road. We'd all be watching TV, and I knew my parents had seen it because I'd seen them turn their head the same time me and my sister did, because you would see something come out of my room and walk down the hallway, and it would go into my sister's room. If you were able to get up and follow in time, you would just see it. It wasn't like anything you could clearly see. It was just almost like I don't know, like almost like a shadowish type thing would come out of my room and then down the hall into my sister's room. And me and my sister would talk about it all the time, and my sister would tell me that it was an old lady that would sit on her bed. And I thought that was creepy as hell, and she used to get wigged out by it. But we would try to tell my parents about it, and they would tell us, yeah, it's my son.
Oh, I'm like, I see like a face. That scared the shit. Oh my god.
And I still live in that house.
Yeah, creepy. He's coming out now. It would come in, like I said, we'd come down the hallway, and then we would try to get my parents to recognize it. But I remember one time I was behind my mom and dad, and I would wait for it because it would happen like clockwork, almost like every time after 8:30 p.m. every single day, you would see this shadow come out of my room and down the hall. And one day I seen it, and I looked at my parents, and I both seen them look, and I was like, "You seen it? I know you seen it. Like you turn your heads." And they kind of admitted to it, but there was actually a lot of weird, creepy stuff that happened at that house. I used to think I saw, like, I don't know if it was just me in my mind because I was a little kid, but I could have swore that I used to see an old man's face peering in the window of my room all the time, but it would never be anybody there. If like I got up to go see who was there at the window, it wasn't anybody there. But that was a really creepy house, and like I said, the whole residual thing, I think it was residual, but I think my sister was way more hypersensitive to me because she would tell me about things that I never saw.
Yeah. Since we brought up kind of like places that like where the stand was shot or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Mansfield Reformatory is in Ohio, which is where Shawshank Redemption had some footage, and one other thing, which I don't remember what else was shot there. I think Air Force One or something. And it's haunted, and it's shut down now. They basically just have it open for like historical reasons and to do walkthroughs and whatnot. And I had an opportunity through work to go there during the day, which, you know, it's not my preferred thing to go during the day. But they do have ones at night, but it's only in the spring and October, so it's probably sometime now. But where you could actually stay overnight and do like ghost investigations and stuff like that, but you have to sign up for it and all this other stuff. So anyway, I went through work because I figured it'd be nice just to go, and nothing extraordinary happened except a couple of things. We were in like a very small group. It was like maybe 10 to 15 people. And I'm the type of person, I don't really like to be, I'm kind of like an anti-conformist or something like that. Yeah. And I don't really like to be with the group. So I kind of like wandered off just a little bit, like not far enough to where like the tour person's going to be like having an issue, but just to kind of separate myself from other people. Because there was like a couple of like younger people that were just being obnoxious and stupid, and I didn't really want to be near that. So I kind of wandered off in one of the cell blocks, and I had my camera, but it was like attached to my wrist. It was just like a point and shoot, point and click, whatever camera. And I had it attached to my wrist, so it definitely wasn't my camera. And while I was in the cell block, I felt something touch my leg. And I was wearing jeans, so it's not something that could just like brush against me and I would feel it. Like it felt like a fingertip on my leg, and right as that happened, the light above me went off. So that was kind of creepy. Other than that, what?
That's super creepy.
Yeah, and it's known for being haunted. And other than that, I thought I would hear things, but there was like, you know, the tour group going on, and I think there was one other one, so I'm not really sure how, you know, if that was anything, but that was weird. And I did go back one other time. That was actually during the night, but it was because like they turned it into a haunted house, like a, you know, jump and scare haunted house. But I mean, you know, it's a haunted house, so I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was weird. Yeah, I can go on, but does anybody else have anything else to add?
I have one that happens in this house, but I don't talk about it because the more we talk about it, the more it happens.
Yeah. Yeah, only one thing really, like, creepy happened in this house. outside of when we first moved in. I was like 16. It was during summer vacation. I was talking on the phone with my friend, and the toilet flush on the main floor, but there was no one else home. But that could be just the plumbing, you know. It scared the shit out of me because like nobody else was home, and all of a sudden just the toilet flushes. I'm like, oh my god! I screamed. I ran out of the house. My friend's like, what is going on? And I'm like, the toilet just flushed.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about it. Basically, we have a TV that shuts off and on.
Yeah.
At a specified time, and I've tried to see if it was a timer. I've troubleshooted everything. I'm an IT guy. I know electrical stuff. I switched outlets. I've done everything. Moved the TV. Still happens. Changed TVs. I put a different TV down there. Same thing happens. Shuts on, shuts off. Same time. The more we talk about it, or the kids get amped up about it, the more it'll happen. The one time it got crazy to where the doorbell was ringing, and there was nobody there, and it would happen on a nightly basis. The doorbell would ring, I'd run down there, there's no one there, and then one night when it was snowing, it happened. And I went down there and looked, no footprints, no nothing, but the doorbell rang. So I'd run back upstairs, and then the TV would shut off, and then the doorbell would ring. And the more I got wigged out, and the more I would get animated in the house, the more those two things happened. TV would shut off, doorbell ring, TV shut on, turns on, like that type of stuff. But the more we've just ignored it, the less it happens.
Yeah. They say that attention does seem to spike it up. I think it has to do with your energy level too, because you're, anxious or, freaked out about it. You get, like, I don't know, I can only speak from experience, but like when weird stuff happens like that, my energy gets really high. Like I'm like on high alert, and just like my whole body, I don't know, I'm like ultra sensitive, and I think it does draw on that, or I don't know if it's necessarily that it draws on that, or if it's attracted to that, or if you could be actually creating some of it or whatever. Because I do think that is possible, like especially poltergeist activity. I do think that can be generated by the person, because I do think that in my instance, some of what I've experienced was something that either me and or my brother was doing, because it only happened during specific parts of our life.
Yeah.
They say adolescence is like a really high time for that because, hormones and stuff like that. And that's when it happened, was when...
Yeah. They say it happens, some of that theory that I was reading about, a lot of that activity happens around young females. Right.
Yeah, and not to get too graphic or whatever, but it was when, I was reaching puberty or whatever, was when all this stuff was happening. But it wasn't only me that experienced it, which I had thought for the longest time, because my brother was really young when it happened, because he's 4 years younger than I am, and it happened when I was about 10. And I don't know, I didn't really feel comfortable talking to him about stuff like that, because I didn't want to scare him, and he lied a lot back then. He was very pathological. So I really wouldn't put too much stock in anything he said, especially back then. But, I've asked him recently about, because like we'd talk about things that happened, and he told me that he heard and saw some of the stuff too. So getting into that, I guess I probably should talk about what I experienced. When I was about 10, and like going into 3rd grade, because for whatever reason it's easier for me to remember the grade I was in as opposed to my age. But I was going into 3rd grade. We moved into our first house, because we had always lived in apartments prior to that. And I don't know, I immediately got a weird vibe when we were moving in, but I just kind of like try to brush it off, because it's a new place, something that's not normal to me. So we lived in a very, very small apartment. It was like 400 to 500 square feet or something. It was really small. And this house had an attic, a main floor, and a basement. My brother and I, since we were still young and we had someone living with us at the time, we had to share a room. And the room that we shared had like this door in the back of the room that looked like a closet, but when you opened it, it was actually the landing to the attic. So there was the landing, a drawstring, a light, and then the stairs, and then the attic. Well, we had bunk beds, and I was on the top bunk because I was, the oldest. and every night I would hear footsteps and what felt like, or what sounded like someone dragging a box across the floor. Like if you don't want to pick it up, you just like push it. I would hear that like every night, and I would tell my dad about it, and he's kind of like Fresh, where he's just everything has an explanation. Especially back then, he's kind of gotten a little bit less like that, as he's gotten older. But he was very, black and white. It's this. It can't be anything else. Or he could have just been saying it because he didn't want to scare me or anything. I don't really know. But he just, was like, forget about it. Whatever. Go to bed. I would have nightmares every night in that room. And one night when I was having trouble sleeping, I noticed there was this bright light emanating from the bottom of the stairwell, like that door. And I immediately thought that me or my brother must have left the light on because it was really bright. So I jumped down. It's like a couple steps to the door. And when I opened the door, it was pitch black. That scared the shit out of me. I ran downstairs. I was crying. I told my dad. He's like, go back to sleep. It's, a school night, da-da-da. But, yeah, I didn't really go back to sleep after that. Other than that, I did see something, but it was like right when I awoke, so it could be just kind of like a remnant from the dream or whatever. But the only other thing that happened there outside of just the footsteps and the pushing of the boxes and all that, at least not to me, was when I moved into the room across the hall. One morning I woke up and I had splinters in every single one of my fingertips. I don't know how they got there. They weren't there when I went to sleep. I've not been known to sleepwalk, and the only place that has unfinished wood in our house is the attic. So I don't know what that's about, but yeah. Other than that, one thing that my brother claims happened to him, again, he was a liar back then, so I don't know how much stock you put into this, but he says that one night he was up in the attic for whatever reason and looking out the window that overlooked our yard in the front, and he said that there was these people in silver, like a uniform. It was like a jumpsuit that went like from the neck down. It was like all one piece, and they were scanning the yard with like these long needle-like instruments, and he just kind of stared at them for a while until one happened to, I guess, notice that he was looking and looked up at him. And he said they kind of looked like people, except their faces were longer and their eyes were bigger. Yeah, that's that scared the shit out of me. And he said that the next thing that he remembered was waking up the next day. So I put it in my mind that it was a dream, but things that have happened after that, I don't know. But yeah, it was not a good time.
Oh, you would love that podcast I told you earlier, the Whatcast. The guys I got this sticker from that I wrapped my SX Mini in. Mateo and Mike. They do paranormal, alien or UFO sighting type stuff. They're the ones that got me digging deep, and I think it's Westall High School in Australia. You should look up that story, which is pretty crazy. It's not ghost related, but it's UFO, and it's basically a whole town correlates the story. So, and then people who didn't see the UFOs can't correlate that there were UFOs there, but they can correlate with all the military action that happened shortly after.
Yeah, you have to tell me when we're done, and I'll look it up, or like put it in the comments or something.
Yeah.
Because I won't remember. Another thing that happened, I guess it's related to that, because back when I was younger, I've always been interested in the paranormal, but it started as ghosts mainly when I was younger, because that's kind of like what was popular, because, I don't know, aliens didn't really become super popular until, like, I would say probably early 90s. Especially, I don't know, maybe because I was just young or whatever, but, like, we'd have book drives, I think that's what they're called, like at school where they have all the books and you could buy them, whatever. Mm-hmm. I'd always buy the ghost stories. And so what I had seen at the time I thought was a ghost, but looking back at it, it might not have been. But it happened at the house I moved in after the last one I talked about. It was a duplex, and they both had their own porch. It was like an enclosed porch. And I was sleeping in the living room with my friend who was staying the night because it was, again, summer vacation. We had this big sectional couch. She was on the one end, which was under the window, which was where the porch was. And I was on the other side, kind of facing the window on the other side. And I was having trouble sleeping because it's like every night thing. And I noticed the light on the porch was on, like someone left it on. So I was just kind of like looking at it. And while I was looking at it, like the curtains were closed because I can't sleep with the curtains or blinds or whatever open. They have to be closed. I don't like seeing out windows. I noticed a small figure walking in front of the window. It appeared to be a child, like a small child, no hair, just like walking very slowly to the left, which is where the opening or the door was that led to our room. I was petrified. I wanted to wake my friend, but I wasn't paralyzed, but I was just too afraid to move because I guess I was afraid what was going to happen if I moved. And it like went past the window, and then like where it hit the wall, I couldn't see it anymore, and I don't remember what happened after that. It's just kind of blank, I guess. But yeah, I thought it was a ghost at the time because I had seen ghosts there, previously and after that. So I assumed it was a ghost because I was always under the assumption or whatever, the idea that aliens were tall, or at least our size. But when I started getting into aliens and really researching them, typically the grays that people see are only about 3 to 4 feet tall. And that was about as tall as this thing was. Yeah, so that scared the shit out of me. And it kind of like made me think about the light that emanated from the attic, my brother, his experience, and then me waking up with objects in my fingers. I don't know what the objects were, so it's whatever. It's just weird that several different things within several different times that have happened. So I don't know. And there's one other thing, but I don't want to keep talking, so if anyone has anything to add, because I can talk all day.
Yeti brought up sleep paralysis. I've experienced that. It's a really bizarre experience. Basically, I'm not a good sleeper no matter what, so I'll lay down and I'll go to sleep, but I know that I'm asleep. That's the really weird part about what happens to me is I know for a fact that I'm asleep.
Yeah.
And that I should wake up, but I just can't move, and it feels like something's pressing down on top of you and just kind of holding you there. And I don't know whether it's me getting wrapped up in blankets or some other sensation. Generally, it's when I'm like super stressed out about something at work. Like my brain really is having trouble letting stuff go, and I'll finally settle down, and it's time for me to go to sleep. But yeah, you'll be sitting there asleep, and you know for a fact that you're asleep. So I'm not sure how asleep I am at the time. But yeah, you just can't move, and you're telling yourself, hey, you can move anytime you want. You can move anytime you want. You can move anytime you want, but you can't. And I have no idea how long it goes on or anything like that. But yeah, it feels like something's pressed down on top of you and just kind of wrapped all around you. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I'll wake up and I'll thrash for a minute, and then I'll roll over and go right back to sleep. And sometimes it starts all over again, and sometimes I'll have a normal night of sleep. But like I said, it generally coincides with my mental state.
Yeah. You ever done any lucid dreaming?
Oh yeah.
I've been wanting to like dabble more into it, where I could actually. When I'm asleep, I'm usually dead to the world. So like, I've never been able to be awake in my head while asleep. The lucid dreaming, because I've read a lot about that part of it, where there's people who actually will study and do things while they're sleeping in their dreams because they know they're awake and they're conscious, but their body's asleep. So they study on things and do whatever, and they get better at it because they're not only working on it while they're awake, they're working on it while they're sleeping inside their dreams.
I've never had anything like that, but yeah, I mean, every once in a while I'll know I'll know for a fact I'm asleep and I'll do stuff.
Yeah, there's people that say that if you're already like that, it's easy for you to train yourself like that when you're to do more stuff while if you're lucid while you're dreaming, and you can do stuff. But about that sleep paralysis, I've experienced it multiple times.
Freaky.
It always comes on with a dream that I have. It's a reoccurring dream where I have something chasing me. I don't know what it is. It's always in the shadows, but I'm running and I'm scared shitless. And either I wake up to where I'm completely frozen and can't move, I can't speak, I can't do anything, or I wake up where I can move, but I'm trying to scream and I can't. There's nothing, and I'm like in a super panicky state. And I usually never go back to sleep after waking up like that. I never go back to sleep.
Yeah, the panic might be the worst part, because sometimes sometimes it feels like I've woken up,
Yeah.
and I'm still just laying there, and still can't move, and then all of a sudden it's just.
Yeah, exactly. And then when Rin was talking about books and reading, I read a lot about this stuff. This is the Field Guide to Demons, Fairies, Fallen Angels, and Other Subversive Spirits. I mean, I love this book, mainly because a lot of the things we experience and talk about, it's been experienced for hundreds of years, and people have written stuff down, and some people have given them names, or demons, or fairies, or whatever the case may be. So when you read about them, a lot of it will highlight some things you experience or things you've heard other people experience, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I've only had one experience with sleep paralysis, because the one when I saw the being, even though I didn't move, I was moving. I just didn't want to get up or move too much, like to wake up. Because like my friend was sleeping, and I kind of felt bad waking her up for something stupid. So I don't know. It's one of those things. But the time that I definitely had it, and it is terrifying, but I knew I was sleeping, was here, and it was when I used to sleep in pitch blackness. I don't do that anymore, for two different reasons. The first one, I was like awake in my, like I could see around the room, but I was still asleep, like I couldn't move. I don't remember feeling a pressure on me, but I just couldn't move, and I saw a red mist by my dresser. And I was trying to wake myself up, because I can wake myself up like 99% of the time if I know a dream is going somewhere I don't want it to go, and I don't think I can handle it. But like, I was having trouble with it, and this thing was telling me, it's like, you cannot wake yourself up. You'll never be able to wake up, and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, oh my god. Creeped the shit out of me, and eventually I did wake myself up. And when I looked around the room, it looked exactly the same as when I had, just seen it. Turned the lights on faster you can imagine, and yeah, I don't sleep in the dark anymore.
Yeah, I don't sleep in dark. I'm afraid of the dark. I always have lights on.
Yeah.
The same thing you said, you don't like to look out windows at night.
Yeah.
I don't either. I like to have them covered, and I don't want to see.
Yeah, I don't even like to see a sliver.
No.
I don't like it.
I always feel like somebody's looking in at me for some reason.
Yes. Oh my god, it just creeps me. I mean, it got worse, because it never used to be too bad until I saw that thing. When I saw that thing, it was like, I can only imagine what I would have seen had the curtains not been closed. So, I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's just a rational fear that you're going to see something. And I'm on the second floor, so I know it's not rational. But, this stuff isn't really rational a lot of times. So it's like, I don't really experience too much anymore, but I still do from time to time. Like the second time I experienced something when my lights were off, it was actually like a day like this. Hi, Raven.
Hey, Raven. Hello.
It was kind of like a day like this where it's not, because like right now it's kind of overcast, so it's light outside, but it's not super bright because the sun's covered. I was having trouble sleeping the night before, and it was a day off, so I could sleep whenever, so I decided I was going to have a nap. It was like during the day or early evening.
I'm not sure what Raven's up to.
Yeah, he's getting ready, so I'm just going to pause for a second.
Oh, no. I mean, what is it, my own dumbass? Like we said, the racing thoughts, which a lot of us have. It's really hard to let go of your day a lot of times, a lot of times, you know, you'll be really anxious about something that's coming up, or you know, you can't get your brain off. You know, somebody offended you that day, so fuck that guy, and you're so mad about it. And a lot of times, you know, the racing thoughts they play a part in my own anyway. Another weird dream I have that I know that I'm awake for. I'll be asleep, and it's another one where I can't move, but I'll actually float off the couch and start bouncing off the walls in the room, like like a screensaver almost, like I'm just bouncing around the room. That was actually kind of fun. That one I don't mind so much, but you know, I know I'm asleep. I know for a fact I'm asleep. My brain's like, well, you can wake up, but this is kind of cool. So.
Yeah, so getting back to that, it was light outside, but it wasn't super bright. So I opened the blinds because it was during the day, and during the day I don't really have as much of an issue with the windows being unblocked or whatever. And I wanted to have the natural light come in because I don't like sleeping in the dark, but it was light enough to where it lit up the room a little bit. So I went back to sleep, or I was trying to go back to sleep, and I slept in the opposite way that I usually do, because I usually sleep with my head like right behind me. I slept on the other side this time, which I, again, never do again. And I was laying there, I was trying to sleep, and for some reason, something kind of like alerted me, and I opened my eyes, and there was a shadow on the wall of like a head right above where I was laying. Like it was like leaning over me, like really close to me. Scared the shit out of me. I jumped up, there was nothing there. So yeah, I don't sleep with the lights off anymore, regardless of whether it's on or not. I just can't.
I was saying what's up to Greg.
We're talking about ghost stories, Raven, in case you didn't know.
Ghost stories?
Yeah.
Oh, I got a good one.
Go for it, Raven.
Not only do I have a good one, I got a picture.
Oh. I used to have a picture and I lost it.
I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the thing. We used to live in a house. It was built in 1781. And George Washington's tree.
Did he freeze?
Slept in our backyard.
You're breaking up, Raven.
The ghost doesn't want him to tell the story.
Like, don't you show my picture, bitch.
I've seen it. It is pretty creepy.
I used to have a really good picture, but it was on a computer that crashed, so I lost all my shit. I haven't told that story either.
Let's see.
Raven gets back and unfrozen.
That is really
good story.
And you don't have a face either.
I know. I'm Rin turned my camera on.
Oh, I'll turn it. I didn't know I could do that.
It's awesome. Yeah, though.
Yeah, you can turn anybody's camera on. You can mute anybody you want. You can kick anybody out you want.
Are you turned on, Dirty?
Oh yeah.
By force. By force.
I wonder if Raven's still talking.
You know, with that frozen image, who knows? See if he comes back in. There you go. Yeah.
Well,
Yeti's uncle saying, "Damn it."
My internet booted me.
Yeah, you just kind of froze when you were talking about the picture.
Yeah, my internet gave me the boot. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but right here, can you see that guy right there?
No.
Back the picture up some.
Yeah,
Gotta see.
try backing it up a little bit.
There's a light. Let me see. Well, right in here, you can probably see his arm right here.
Yeah, I can't. Well, I can see an
It
outline.
looks better. But anyways, if you were here, you could see it. But that's no guy there. I was just taking pictures of the barn, and when they came back and they were developed, I said to my wife, "I like, there's a soldier. I got a picture of a soldier outside the door." She goes, "No, you don't." I showed her the picture. She goes, "Yeah, you do." I wish you
Like
guys
what? Like what era soldier is it? Is it like a
uh,
modern era soldier or
Civil War.
Civil War era? Wow.
Yeah, because George Washington's troops slept in our backyard.
Do you have that uploaded to a computer anywhere?
No, no, I'm gonna try to take a picture of it. I don't know if it'll come out or not.
Do you have a scanner?
No, I wish I did.
Damn. Well, if you get a good image of it, if you could like send it so I could like upload it, or at least just look at it.
Yeah, I'll try to, and then I'll send it to you. Yeah, it's funny talking about ghost stories.
Well, this talk that I do, like I'm gonna start doing it like hopefully every week. It's probably gonna be among those lines, at least initially, because it's something I'm interested in, and then maybe eventually get into other things that are kind of related. But um, I used to have a picture that my friend took of her. I don't know why it's do you know how it gets stops focusing on one person? Do you just click it again? Yeah, okay. Um, but my friend, she was sitting on her or laying down on her couch. She had her cat like right here, and she was taking a selfie with her flip phone. It was back when Motorola Razors were like hot shit, and cameras on the phone were just coming out. So she took a picture of herself and she sent it to me with the headline, "What the fuck is behind me?" And I'm looking at this picture and I'm like, all I see is like a outline of a person, like it's black figure. I'm like, I don't see anything behind you. Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, how do you not see that? So I ended up having to send it to my email so I could open it on a computer and lighten it because the resolution, either on her camera phone or my phone, was really bad. When I lightened it up, the figure I thought was her was not her. She was laying on the couch. This thing was behind her. All you could see was the outline of a head, no hair, shoulders, and then like where the couch went, you couldn't see anything else. But it was just this black mass. Creepy as hell. And it was not a shadow because you couldn't see through it. And the only light source was behind it. So I don't know what the hell it was, but her house was wicked haunted. So I don't know if it was a spirit, what it was, but it scared the shit out of me. I wish I still had the picture, but don't anymore. It was like over 10 years ago. So, yeah.
Well, I got this. I hope you can see this through the house that I'm in now, and I'll see if I can bring it up there. See if you can notice anything.
I see a black thing in the corner. Let me focus it on you.
It's kind of hard because from my phone to here. That's not bad. probably ain't the best one I have. But we got a bunch of orbs that fly around.
Oh, is it that squiggly white thing?
You can't. No, these are. You can't actually see them on there. Too bad. Too bad. I'm gonna have to download that and send it. But we got a bunch of orbs that fly around here.
Yeah, I don't know. Orbs are kind of weird because there's a lot of explanations for some of them, like dust particles.
Yeah, these you look at it and you go, that's not dust particle. you be like, nah, that's not dust particle. Yeah, they actually have direction. You know, dust particles float. These actually, you trust me, you'll go, nah, that's no that's no dust particle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing I really haven't seen much of is orbs. Anyone else have anything to add? Nope. All right, well, outside of that, I have seen a shadow person, or what I would consider a shadow person once. It was at my aunt's house. I went over, it was again summer vacation, so apparently summer vacation's a very popular time in my life for this shit to happen. But I stayed over at my aunt's house because, I don't know, I wasn't really close with her when I was younger, so she kind of like wanted to bond with me or whatever. So we hung out for the day and I spent the night, and I stayed in the guest room. Well, I woke up really early in the morning, just randomly, which was not very common for me because I sleep very late even back then. I would sleep at least till noon or after. I woke up around 7 or 8 and just kind of like for no reason. And I was looking around the room and I noticed this weird figure in the light fixture above, kind of like in the middle of the room. And I was like, what the hell is that? So I'm like looking at it. And the more I looked at it, it had like a figure. It was similar to what my friend took a picture of, except it was more like a blob. And then as I stared at it further, I noticed it had eyes, like these little kind of slits, and they were yellow. I was trying to rationalize it to make sure it wasn't anything in the room with me, because it was a reflection. So I'm like moving my hand, trying to figure out where this thing was. And when I got to the part where it was in the fixture, my hand disappeared, but there was nothing there. So once that happened, I shot out of the room, and my aunt was getting ready for work. That's why I know what time it was, because she went to work, early. And she's like, asked me what was going on, because she noticed I was acting kind of weird, and I was up early. And I'm like, oh, I just was having trouble sleeping. So years after this happened, it was like a couple years ago. This happened when I was like 13. I asked my cousin who used to live in that house, I was like, have you or your brother ever experienced anything weird there? And she's like, no, why? And I told her my story. And she's like, yeah, she's like, come to think of it, my mom told me something weird happened when you stayed there. And I'm like, what happened? She's like, yeah, she claims that in the middle of the night, you were standing by her bed watching her. I don't remember that. And it was the night before I saw this thing. So either I was sleepwalking the one time that I've ever sleptwalked in my life, or that thing, whatever it was, wasn't me. So, yeah. Not a good time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm also a firm believer that there has to be something else out there, that is the logical part of my brain. The universe is too big of a place. There's too many things that point to there being other things out there, things we can't explain, whether it's, extraterrestrial life or some other, like dimensional life out there somewhere. There's, you can prove these things exist even though we can't see them, and like I said, the universe is too big of a place and too complex. We're children playing with the children, messing with things that we don't understand a lot of times, as far as science goes. And you know, there's no way we're alone in the universe. I will definitely say that there is no way. Now, you know, all the you know, paranormal things that people witness and things like that, you know, is it some form of, you know, some form of extra dimensional life, or, you know, extraterrestrial life? You know, I don't know. I can't put a firm explanation on it. Like I said, I can explain a lot of stuff away because of the way my brain works, but even then, you know, there's the part of my brain that, you know, I go and I read these things. I'm like, well, I can't explain that. I can't explain that at all. So, multiverse theory. That's right, Jordanson. You know, there could be another you, me, Dirty, and Raven sitting chatting on a computer in another dimension. You know, so or a parallel universe where I started the conversation versus Rin starting the conversation. You know, every choice we make.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
Especially with all the problems I have getting stuff going.
in that same barn, I was walking upstairs where they kept the chickens back when there was a general store. As me and a friend were walking upstairs, and I saw this lady, and you know, like the old gowns they had with the bow in the back, that tied in the back then,
Yeah.
and a basket. And I looked at my friend and I said, "Hey, check this out! Look!" And then there used to be a pair of doors in the back, and that's where she walked through. And my friend says, "Oh, I saw something." So seeing that, you know, and hearing somebody's body, you're like, yeah, but actually seeing it, you're like, all right, it's true, you know. But they say that they have residual spirits that just do the same thing over and over and over again, that are unaware that you're there, and that's what I think that was. They have some that are aware.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, you can get into the theory that there's, you know, phenomena in the world that cause things to thin. You know, that's always a theory that's out there. You know, places where, you know, the dimensions or parallel universes get thin, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah. You know, I don't know what, but I know, like, my wife just said that she looked like at me, like towards me, and then walked through those doors. I don't know if she was just looking that way or what, but my wife used to have a guitar that was in a case that used to play by itself back in that house.
Oh wow. See,
Yeah.
that right there, I'm like, I can't explain that away at all.
Yeah, you know. So
Raven was rocking out too hard in the residual vibrations in the case. No.
yeah.
I know you rock hard, Raven, but I don't think you rock that hard.
Vibrations are something that is correlated with the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it caused it, but they say that, you know, everything vibrates. I think it's called string theory. And the vibrations, like maybe that's what happens when, I don't know, the theory that I have with people that can see things that other people can't is just like maybe, because, you know, they say our brain, we only use like a very low percentage of it. Maybe these parts in our brain are more active, or maybe we create more DMT than other people, or it could be something vibrational within our body. I don't really know, but vibrations are said to be affected by this kind of thing. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I'm getting vibrations in my pants.
I bet you are.
You've always got vibrations in your pants.
Stupid.
That's why he has trouble sitting still.
Yeah.
Why he has to turn his camera off? He turns his camera off at least once every time I'm on. Is that what's going on, Dirty?
No.
Business.
I'm just being respectful of your channel and partaking in my herbal medicine off camera.
Don't let him fool you. He's just readjusting himself.
You hear a loud grunt, and then Dirty's back, and he's all business.
Yeah.
Full of life.
Hear a humming noise? No? Okay. Anyway.
Let's see. Percentage of brain use is bunk. I've heard that before.
Yeah. I mean, I don't believe it's like 10%, but
No. I know there are portions of the brain we have no earthly idea what the hell they do.
yeah.
Once again, it's it's children playing in their father's yard trying to figure out what the hell something is.
Yeah.
3-year-olds trying to work on a brand new Volkswagen.
Right.
So.
What's that noise in the background? Oh, that's him.
Did you ever get the? You ever read about the theory of? Well, not theory, but I guess it's a theory that your conscious isn't in you. It's like
Yes.
they've done studies where they've had I don't know, where they do the conscious thing, and I can't remember the study right now because I'm too stoned. But, I forgot what the study is. But basically, the reaction time to something that was happening was off. Like, it took time to travel. It was something weird like that.
Yeah, our consciousness exists outside of the body.
Yeah.
I have heard that, and I do believe that to a point. Like, they say, like, even our memories aren't necessarily tied to our brain. Not all of them, anyway.
Yeah.
It's weird. That's why it really frustrates me when people try to be absolute about everything. Like, I know this isn't true, or this is true. It's like, you don't know anything.
No, you don't.
You think you know it, and you might know it for that time, but everything changes. Reality, I truly do believe, is your perception.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, we all perceive things so differently, so differently. I had something that I was going to go on, and I glanced over at the TV, and it's gone.
See, his consciousness is definitely not tied to the body right now.
Yeah.
Mine's never tied to the body. Mine's out there bicycling somewhere.
His consciousness just got a contact high from mine.
Exactly. Dirty's passing it from the pod right next to me.
All right.
Have a good one, Yenny.
I guess I can talk about my UFO. I have seen a UFO, which is kind of like where I started thinking about my other experiences and whether or not they were tied to something else. I was taking a walk. I was 16. I don't think it was summer vacation. I think it was in the fall. And I would take walks at night for like maybe a half hour to an hour, just around the neighborhood, listening to my music. This is back when we had Discman, this portable CD players.
Oh, yeah.
And I was rocking out to my music. And I listened to it pretty loud because it's just how I like it. And my Discman did not have skip protection. So every now and then if I were to walk too heavy, it would like mess up my Discman. And I think it like just stopped and I'd have to like play it again or whatever. That's important to the story. That's why I brought it up. So yeah. I was walking and I was about two streets down from coming back to the house. And I looked up at the sky because like I'm very interested in space. And I noticed that the sky was very clear that night, which in Cleveland isn't very common. We have a lot of clouds and all that good stuff. So the stars were very bright that night, and the sky was very black. And as I was just kind of looking up, staring at things, I noticed this really bright light. And I was like, wow. My first thought is that it was a plane, but then it started moving in like this weird side to side. I'm like, okay, it's not a plane. I'm like, okay, it's a helicopter because we have a hospital that's nearby. Then it started going quicker, like in like diagonal, like, I don't know, it was weird. And I'm like, okay, it's not a helicopter. And then I'm like, just kind of staring at it. It looked like a star, like it had the brightness of a very bright star, but it was moving. And then when I was just kind of staring at it, I'm like, okay, I don't know what the hell it is. It literally just zipped off to the left, and it was gone. Second that happened, all of a sudden my music just blasted into my ears. I'm like, holy crap. The whole time I had been seeing this thing, I didn't notice it at the time, but my music stopped. And the second it zipped off, my music came blaring back up. At the time, it didn't really mean too much to me, But yeah, it was weird. It was definitely weird. Lasted less than a minute, but I've never seen anything like that before. I have never seen anything like that again. It was just really weird.
It is weird.
Yeah. We have a lot of UFO sightings near Lake Erie. I've never seen them, but it's very common. And that's the direction it went. I don't know if that means anything, but it was weird.
I wish I could see one.
EMP. Well, it couldn't be an EMP, Yoda. EMPs would fry the circuitry, so it wouldn't restart.
No, UFOs are. They say that they interact. They interfere with electronic devices. I don't know if that's what happened to me. To me, it seemed more of like, and I know this sounds really weird, but it seemed like it almost times either stopped or slowed down, because it's the only thing that really could explain why my Discman just literally stopped and then picked up right where it left off, because my CD didn't have memory. The Discman didn't have memory, so how else would it have been able to do that? I don't know. It's weird, and I know it probably sounds crazy, but it happened.
You're
a crazy chick.
Yeah.
A little.
Intelligent life out there. Out of all the galaxies out there, you know, well, I don't know about intelligent, but we can't be the only life out there.
No, I knew, and that was more along the lines of theory with Fresh, and the more I've watched what we've discovered in the ocean, what we thought by science, but we thought that there wouldn't be creatures in this environment deep in the ocean. There's no way anything exists down there, and there's life down there. So if there's life down there where we thought nothing could live, how do we know that there's not some other type of life that's living on in a different way? They might not need oxygen, they might not need water, they might not, because we don't know. And I think we get so stuck in the mind frame that they're going to be somewhat like us. They could be nothing like us. It could be spores. Like you'd have no idea. Like we don't know. It's unknown. So I'm totally on board with that. That there's definitely more than us out there. There's got to be. There's no way. You look at how many planets there are and stars and galaxies. There's no way we're the only ones out there. But on that topic, space scares the fuck out of me, and you'll never see me in space.
Oh, I'd go in a heartbeat.
Did that movie Interstellar?
Oh yeah.
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Dude, my butthole was clenched that whole movie. When they were in space and they're like flying through space and all that shit, I freak out at that. Like I'd never want to go to space.
Yeah, I'd go in a heartbeat. I'd go in a heartbeat.
That's what we need. He was an ambassador for, to another, to go to another planet, and speak for us.
Oh shit. The whole beginning is the part. Like, if anything happens when you're in space, that's it. Finito.
I won't even go on a plane.
Yeah, the Mars mission that they keep talking about, Mars mission. The more you read about it and all the things that have to go exactly right.
Oh yeah, it's scary as fuck.
Those guys are volunteering to die. The people that volunteer to go on the mission, they're volunteering to die out there. Because if you miss your window by hours, you've turned something that is supposed to be like an 18-month flight into a 4-year flight. You can't survive it.
Yeah.
It's impossible. And then the lack of gravity for that long, that there's we can rotate, but yeah, you watched Interstellar, you see kind of what it all did to them, kind of made them all a little nutty. Like, please stop spinning.
And then once you get there, like, it's death. Like, I mean, basically you're signing, because there's no way we can help you. By the time we'd ever get anybody else out there, you're been dead for years. Like.
Yeah, exactly. Because you have to wait for everything to line up again. It is one of the scariest things I've ever read about is just that mission to Mars. Just that by itself. And we see all these movies coming out and they're all nonchalantly doing it, or you read The Martian, which if you guys haven't read The Martian, it's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
What is it about? What is it about?
It's about a guy that they assume died on Mars and they leave him. And so essentially he's stuck on Mars and he's trying to wait for people to come back and get him. It's pretty wild, and the guy's super smart, and he's a complete jackass, to be honest. But it's a fantastic book. I love that book. But yeah, it's, you know, you read about these and you see the movies like Mission to Mars. You know, Dirty's exactly right. You know, they miss their window to come back. They're dead.
Yeah.
You know,
There's a reason why we haven't gone to the moon again.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's scary.
Exactly. Exactly. I think the moon's happening here very, very soon.
Yeah.
Within the next 10 years, we'll probably be building something on it.
Yeah, I would not go in our craft. I think the craft, like, I'm not completely convinced what quote-unquote aliens are, as far as whether they're interdimensional or from, like, far-off places or whatever. So I don't know what craft they're using to travel with or whatever, but I'm sure they're not using gasoline and all that other bullshit.
No, I mean, there's solar sails out there, and with solar sails, you know, gathering the radiation and the particles that are moving through space, in theory, if you let it go long enough, we would achieve the speed of light. Now, you know, I would like to see the test that came from that and see what the hell happens. But in theory, we have the means to do it. We have the means to do, you know, at least near speed of light, but we have no way to control it. We have no way to protect ourselves from it. So once again, you know, it's you know, a 3-year-old trying to work on a Volkswagen.
Yeah, just thinking about it, this is how scary it is. You're going to volunteer to get in a craft built by people who've never gone where you're going to try to go, or even know if this is actually going to work. It's just all things they've put down on paper and said, yep, this should work.
Exactly.
It's fucking scary.
Yeah. And yeah, Jordan Sin's right. Solar sails are cool as hell. They are cool as hell to read about.
Yeah.
But it's one of those what the fuck is going to happen type situations. I hope it happens in my lifetime. I hope they test those in my lifetime just so I can kind of see the data that comes back from it. Like, well, it achieved this velocity and then everything burned.
Yeah, I don't know if what I saw was an actual craft, though, because all I saw was a light, so it's not even guaranteed to be like a physical thing. But it was there. That's all I can say is it was there. I witnessed it. It seemed to correspond or communicate or interact with me in some way. It was weird. It's like as I was looking at it, I felt like it was like aware of my presence. It was really strange. And they have said that, like, if you listen to the Paratopia people, they say it a number of times that they do believe it's an interactive experience. Like the people that see UFOs, it's kind of like their experience. Like it's a one-on-one type thing. Like where if another person's there, they might not even see it. It depends on the person, the circumstances, and all that. So I don't know. It could explain why some people see them and some people don't. It doesn't mean that they're not there. You just might not have the equipment built into you to pick up on it. I don't know.
See, and there's Jordan Sin just voiced one of my deep depressing thoughts that if I start getting down, that's the type of thing that gets me down. Is people would rather invest money in killing each other than exploring the universe.
Yeah.
Because I have no problem with anybody else in the world. Honestly, I don't. And you know, if you're not stepping on my toes, then it's no big. You know what? You know, you're not trying to kill me. Why do I care what you believe? Why do I care how you live your life? It doesn't matter to me, to be honest. And you know, if more people kind of thought that way rather than pressing their beliefs on other people, you know, we could, you know, everyone could join hands and you know, pool resources to understand the world. The world we live in is fascinating. It's a fascinating world. It's a beautiful place. I always say be beautiful in my videos. The world's a beautiful, beautiful place. Even out in the middle of the Middle East in the desert, it's a beautiful place. But it's, you know, we spend so much time trying to hurt each other that it's like I said, that's one of my big depressing thoughts. Is so much is wasted. So much in the world is wasted.
I agree.
I agree too. With that, I gotta run, guys. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I gotta take off.
Hi, Dirty.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the invite. This is cool.
See you later, Dirty.
Bye, guys.
Yeah. Later. Yeah, definitely thanks for the invite, Ren. I'm digging this. Like you said, you don't get to talk about it all that often, you know.
No.
I think you kind of brought it up. You brought it up yesterday, right?
Yeah.
You don't get to talk about things like this openly with people all this time, you know, all the time.
I've done a lot of mountain climbing, and I've been on top of mountains at night and stuff. And excuse me. And I've always seen things moving in the sky. You know, and me and my buddy was always saying to ourselves, I wonder if that's a flying saucer or that's just some sort of like
Plasma?
satellite or something. You know, going by because it'd have a blinking light, but it'd be like really, really high, you know, and it would just blink here and there and then just vanish.
Being up that high, you would be more prone to seeing, you know, things skipping off the atmosphere, radiation from space just kind of bouncing off the atmosphere, meteorites, things like that. So,
yeah.
Like I said, if you give me a chance, I can explain it away.
Yeah, I've seen some weird things.
Yeah.
You know,
Phenom's in the house. What up, Phenom? Phenom's a good cat.
Yeah, you can see satellites sometimes, so it's not, you know, outside of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
Usually if it's like a UFO or something weird, it'll move in a weird, erratic pattern. It'll be a solid light. There will be no blinking to it, unless it's like a intelligent kind of blinking, like a Morse code type thing. People have said that. But I don't know. I would have to see it.
Well, I mean,
you can see the blinking light on an airplane. You know, it was that kind of a pattern.
Yeah.
But like I said,
yeah.
Good.
Well, I mean, that's one of those things. Man makes straight lines. Nature doesn't. So.
Yeah.
You know, if there's a pattern, it's probably us.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
We're the ones that like things orderly and in nice, precise, neat lines. Makes it easier for us to understand and grasp.
Yeah. I wouldn't go in space. Not in our craft. There ain't no way in hell.
Like I said, I'd go in a heartbeat. I'd go in a heartbeat. I probably would not go to Mars. Some satellites are. It's all dependent on the orbit of the satellite. Yoda. Interesting. I'm gonna have to look that up, Jordanson. You've talked about that several times.
There's a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit. Just like Tesla and like things that he was involved in or kind of like created. I think he was tied to, I think it was the Philadelphia Project. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that.
Yes.
Which to me seems more logical than like a paranormal type thing because they were delving into, wasn't that the one where, I always get the Philadelphia and the Manhattan Project mixed up.
Manhattan Project was the bombs.
The what?
Right, Manhattan Project was nuclear bombs, right?
I don't think so.
I'm not exactly sure.
Let me double check that.
Well, the one I'm thinking about is the one where I think it was the Philadelphia project, where they tried to make the boat invisible to radar by hitting it with massive amounts of, what was it? Was that the EMF? Was it EMF they were trying to blast it with? They were doing something. They were messing with frequencies. And what it did, supposedly, is it did make the ship not really invisible per se. It actually transported it in time. I think it was it was either backwards or forwards. And it ended up in a completely different area. And there were people that became fused with the ship, supposedly. And
there was a movie about it. I remember the movie.
Yeah.
Didn't it have like C. Thomas Howell in it or something?
I didn't see the movie. I've only read up on it and watched various programs about it. But yeah, the people that weren't fused to the ship, they were messed up. Like their brain just was like fried.
Let's see. Small-scale time travel is the Philadelphia experiment.
Yeah. And so according to other people, we've already been delving into time travel. It depends on who you ask, I guess. But there are a couple of people that claim that they were transported to the 1930s or something like that. That's the problem with this field, is there's so many people that could be insane and just making up shit that it's hard to kind of weed it out. And I think some of that's done on purpose, but I don't know.
It looks like the paperwork disproves that the Philadelphia experiments even happened. That's typical. I just went.
The family's calling me to supper. This is an interesting subject. Hit me up again when you want me to come back on, and I'll be more prepared next time.
Awesome. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, Manhattan Project was the first nuclear bombs in World War II.
I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Later, Raven.
I don't remember that one then.
Yeah, the Manhattan Project is when we smuggled a bunch of German scientists into the U.S. and had them build us a nuclear bomb.
Like the Nazis or whatever?
I'm not sure if they were Nazis or not. I know because they were working for the same thing in Germany, and then we exported them. So we were the ones who did that. The JFK lady could have been a time traveler or clandestine operative. The Japanese created the invisible cloak. Interesting.
Japanese invent everything.
Yeah, time is a man-made concept. Absolutely.
Yes.
We're the ones that tied time and gravity together and everything. We're the ones that create the values. That's why I love science, but like I said, it's far from explains everything.
Right.
Manhattan Project was after the war ended.
Yeah, that's another problem with getting so much into this. Like, everything kind of blends together, and it's hard to remember which thing is which.
Nazis had alien tech. Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the Manhattan Project was when we went in and we found some German scientists, and I believe they wanted to defect from the Nazi regime, and we moved them over, and so we had them working on our nuclear project because they were working on it originally in Germany. We exported them during World War II, if I recall correctly. There you go, Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's right. So yeah, it was. I thought it was during World War II we went and found them, but we found them that they wanted to come, and so we pulled them out of Germany.
Yeah. I don't know. It just fascinates me, and like the Nazis and the alien technology, like the what is that? It's something Bell. The something Bell. It was tied to Hitler. I can't remember the name of the bell. If any of you know, like, put it over there. But it essentially supposed to have time traveled. It was during the time with the whole World War II thing, because that's the one with Hitler, right?
Yeah.
I'm not very big on history. But yeah, supposedly he was dabbling in time travel and even the black arts. Some people have said that he was involved with the black arts. Some people say he was involved with extraterrestrials, like the
it's a fairly well proven fact that he was into all of them, and he invested a lot of time and money in a lot of Germany's wartime budget went into things like that. Any resource that he could explore, he was going to, and he did have a fixation on anything that wasn't easily explainable, dark arts, time travel, things like that. That's where a lot of the experiments he let what's his face Mendele. That's where a lot of that came from, because he was exploring genetics as well. So Hitler had his fingers in a lot of different pies.
The weird thing is, if he was supposedly linked up with all these extraterrestrials and had all this technology, why didn't he win?
I think a lot of it they could have, I believe he could have had his nuclear program a lot further if he had devoted more of the resources towards it. And that may have been what frustrated the scientists, is they weren't getting, the focus on the project or something along those lines. Die Glock was the name of the bell.
Well, someone else had the Black Forest bell.
DARPA created a curving bow that also tracks the target even on the move. Let's see.
Do you hear any sound?
Nothing can stop a railgun. That's not entirely true. The Navy has railguns. I thought that was a fairly open secret too. Yeah, I think Hitler devoted a lot of resources to a lot of different places, and so it's if you go back and read what the Nazis were doing, aside from killing millions and millions of innocent people, they were doing some pretty fascinating things. A lot of it's one of those things. We found out so much about genetics from the things that it wasn't Mendele, Himmler. Right, it was Himmler was Mendele was the Nazi doctor. We found out a lot about genetics, and we found out all these really fascinating things that furthered the field. But a lot of people damn the information because where it came from. It's a lot of the original anatomy came from mass murderers who went and decided to draw the insides of their victims, and that's how a lot of the understanding of anatomy came about. And back then, this information isn't getting out because of where the source came from. And you can read a lot about the things that they were up to now. Back then, oh to heck with that. These are evil people. But it's fairly fascinating to go read about some of the things they were up to.
Yeah. Definitely. I don't know.
And a railgun is what? It's an electric. It uses magnets rather than it uses electromagnets for power to fire a projectile.
Interesting.
Yeah,
so
and they're gnarly. They're gnarly.
So I've heard of them trying to create weapons using sound.
I mean, that's not a hard thing. You just put the vibrations at a point where it messes with the human system. Same thing. They've created microwave guns that create a lot of pain, but don't actually leave marks or actually physically hurt the person. That's out there. Those are around. They're around in the world. Microwave guns. Once again, devoting resources towards other things.
It's insane.
Yeah.
just like HARP, which I'm not sure how accurate some of the information is. But I do believe that we've tried or are manipulating nature patterns, the weather.
I think on a small scale, I think it's entirely possible with where we're at science-wise.
Yeah.
But on a large scale, the consequences of what we did would be far more marked than what we see. And just by our own consumerism, we're doing that.
Right.
We're messing with the weather patterns.
Like the fracking. The fracking supposedly causing a lot of issues for oil and all that shit. Yeah, I don't know. Some of these like conspiracy theory type things sound just completely ridiculous, but I mean, you never know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we could probably talk hours and hours and hours on all the different conspiracy theories that are out there. But
that's the good thing about the Paratopia thing, is that they talk about like everything. Just, I don't know. It's probably the most diverse paranormal type broadcast or whatever you want to call it that I've ever come across. Because I do like Coast to Coast, but I don't really care for that Nori guy. Forget his name. Something Nori. Don't really care for him too much. And some of the guests they have, I don't really care for. Like that Linda Moulton Howe. I don't really care for her. I don't know if you're familiar with her at all.
No, I'm not.
She's just, I don't know, some of the things that she says are just, they just seem ridiculous to me. But I don't know. I'm open-minded, but I'm not, quick to jump on something as far as like, I don't believe everything I hear. Yeah. I think that's something that people should, you really do need to question things, which is part of the problem I have with religion, but I don't want to get into that too much. It's a touchy topic.
Religion's a very touchy topic. I brushed lightly against it today and then wandered off.
Yeah, I'm not a religious person, mainly because I question too many things. And it's not the fact that I don't believe that you should have faith in things. Like, I don't have to have everything proven to me, but I don't know. I used to be religious when I was younger and just kind of veered away from it as I've gotten older. But I don't have anything against anyone who is. I just personally am not.
Yeah.
I do believe that there's other entities or whatever you want to call them that are higher, like evolved than us, like spiritually or whatever you want to call it. But beyond that, I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, I think there has to be some driving force behind it all. There's no way there's not. Go take a look out your window and watch the wind blow through a tree, and that came from somewhere. The scientific explanation only takes you so far.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's scientific or if it's just or if it's just because, I mean, the thing is like the logic that there was something that created everything is equally logical as saying that we were created from nothing. Because it's like, okay, if there was one thing that supposedly created everything else, what created that thing?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
It's like,
where did that come from?
It's I don't know, it's weird. So it's like, it's kind of like they're both equally plausible is what I'm trying to say. Like, yeah. It's possible that one thing or how something created everything. It's also possible that, I don't know, maybe it was just nothing. I don't know. And I think that's the thing that scares me the worst is like nothingness. That terrifies me. Just the idea of not existing at any point.
Yeah, the theory that you're not anything anyway.
No, not that. Just the fact that, like, especially like that's why death scares me so much. Is like, My greatest fear is that when you die, nothing, like you're just nothing. Like
Yeah.
my mind just cannot grasp the idea of nothingness. Like being nothing, not being conscious of anything. Like it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But
And it shouldn't, because even the lowest levels we go to, there's always something. So yeah, nothingness is a scary thought. More spiritual than religious. I mean, I'm inclined to go something like that, Jordan.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, there's something out there that I can't explain, and I believe it has goodwill, or it doesn't intend bad things. But bad things have to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I do believe that we are more than just a physical body. I think there's definitely more than our physical state. But
Absolutely.
yeah, but as far as like, me personally, I think there's a higher, I don't know if it's like a higher power. I don't know what it is. I do believe something's out there, but as far as a quote unquote God, I don't know.
I think human perception and definitions are too flawed for what it is. That's my thought process. Death is nothing. And I talked about that book. What's it? I forget the name of it. But yeah, you wake up remembering everything somewhere else. That's a nice thought.
But because like I've thought about this, and it's like, okay, some people believe in reincarnation, which I'm not completely opposed to. But the thing is like I personally can't remember anything past this existence. So if I were reincarnated from something else, why can't I remember this existence and experience this existence, but don't remember anything from anything else?
Yeah.
Like I don't understand that.
And then how would this be everybody's first?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like it doesn't make sense to me. So it's like logically speaking, but then again I thought about, because like they say time really is not linear and everything is existing at one time, the past,
Yeah.
present, and the future. That makes more sense to me, because that would mean I have no past and I technically have no future because everything's existing at once. That makes the most sense to me. But even then it's like, okay, once I'm dead, then what?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly. Then what?
It scares me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that if anything, we maybe progress to another plane of existence. And that could possibly be where these other beings come from. Because there does seem to be some kind of weird correlation to the paranormal and death. Because a lot of people that have seen aliens sometimes will have seen a dead relative, either with them or like in some kind of relation to them.
Yeah.
Near-death experiences, a lot of experiencers have had some kind of near-death experience. So that is like some kind of weird tie. Like there's a lot of weird commonalities, or I don't even think that's a word.
Commonalities is a word.
There you go.
You did use the right word.
There's a lot of like similarities between experiencers. Like just like with Dirty, how he doesn't like the windows, like seeing out the windows at night. I don't like that either. And a lot of other, and there might not be anything to it, but a lot of other experiencers have the same weird irrational fear. They do not like the windows being, drawn or whatever. They have to have them closed. I always thought it was just a weird thing with me. Another thing is I have to sleep with the fan on. I cannot sleep with the fan off. It can be the dead of winter. I can be cold as hell. I have to have the fan on or I cannot sleep.
Yeah. Mine's probably for something completely different. My ears ring all the time because all the loud noises I was subjected to. So it sounds like a refrigerator's running up here all the time. I don't hear very well. So yeah. So it's I have to have at least a fan on in every room, and if I go on vacation, I go to sleep with headphones in because I have to have noise, or I don't sleep because even if I go to sleep, my brain will wake me up and say, "Hey, why is the refrigerator running?"
Yeah, it is kind of like a white noise effect for me. But the weird thing is, like, I never had this issue until about until I moved into that second house. So it wasn't something I had all my life. It started at a certain point, which is ironic because that's when the bulk of my activity started, was at that second house.
Yeah.
Which I never even talked about all the experiences I've had because there's a lot. But I don't know. I can explain some of them, and I'm perfectly receptive to the idea that some of my experiences might be able to be explained, but I know all of them can't. I just know all of them can't.
Absolutely.
You know, especially when other people experience them with me. Because I mean, when you are an experiencer, you do have to question your sanity at some point. Because out of my entire family, the only people that really have seen things were me and my brother to a lot less of an extent than I am. Like, I'm by far the most receptive, or whatever you want to call it, to this kind of thing. And when you are the bulk, when you're experiencing all this stuff, and a lot of other people that live in the same house as you aren't, you know, it makes you wonder, like, you know, why am I only seeing and experiencing these things? But then as I gotten older, other people that I'd be around, they would experience it too. So, I mean, how do you explain that? I don't believe in shared delusions or shared hallucinations or whatever you want to call them. I don't believe in that. So, you know, and my friend caught something on camera. How do you explain that? It's weird.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's there are a lot of things in the world that we can't explain, and we warp it to our own, you know, our own definitions.
Right.
And a lot of the definitions make sense, but 10 years from now, who knows?
Right, just like how people thought the Earth was flat for how many years, and that we were the center of the universe, and all this other stuff. And then as more information came out, you know, it completely disproved what all these other people thought. And the people that were thinking against it, like, wasn't it Galileo who thought that the Earth was not flat or something?
He was the first person that said that we rotated around the sun versus the sun rotating around us. And so they locked him in a tower for years and years.
Right. They thought he was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, human. I don't know. I wonder what drives elephants to go to a common graveyard. Good question. Good question, John Muller.
I don't know what that means.
Elephants all go the same place to die, generally.
Oh. Probably something within the earth.
Yeah, I mean, once again, we could probably point that there's some sort of, like, an odd magnetism to the place or something like that they can feel in their tusks, or who knows.
Because animals are very sensitive to that kind of thing. Just like how like all these, like, weird architectural things, like the pyramids, are supposedly placed very strategically in certain positions. The Bermuda Triangle is supposed to be really weird with their electromagnetic thing. Whether or not that means anything, I don't know. But
yeah, there's something very strange about the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, it's weird, and I don't know. I don't know what it is or what it means, but there's weird shit going on in certain places.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
We talked sleep paralysis earlier, vapor tube. That's gnarly that you get it every night, and mostly during the daytime when you nap. That's gnarly.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like I said, I've only experienced it once, and it's definitely terrifying.
I did not know that elephants cried when they saw bones. That's bizarre.
I don't know. If you believe in the spiritual side of things, supposedly everything in existence is one thing. Like, there's really no separation. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah. We're all one in the universe.
Like, I'm trying to put it in, like, how they put it. It's like we're all one thing, but like we're experiencing it from different angles. So like when I'm talking to you, I'm really talking to myself. It's just from a different perspective. If that makes any sense? I don't know.
A short, bald perspective.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. And it kind of makes sense because like when you think about it, it's like, can you really put yourself in another person's shoes? Like, have you ever thought about how life would be from a different person's like perspective, or like if you could switch bodies or something?
Yeah.
And how you can't really fathom how it is. And it's just because we're, a collective conscious. That's, pretty much what I'm talking about.
I always try and put myself in other people's shoes to understand them. To understand, because, you know, it's so easy. Well, I when I was younger, I had such a short temper that it was so easy for me to get angry at something and something stupid. And that's one of the coping techniques they teach you is, you know, put yourself in someone else's shoes and try and understand their side of it, their perspective. And it really is impossible. It really is impossible to get their perspective on why they did something. You know, they'll have an explanation that makes some sense to you, makes no sense to you, but to them it's perfect, and it all makes perfect sense to them. So it really is impossible to put yourself in someone else's shoes. So maybe they are seeing it from, you know, a different perspective. You know, and all the collective information is going to a computer on a Navy ship that has railguns.
Well, that's another thing that, because like I dabbled into spiritualism to try to kind of have like a replacement to religion or something that fit me better than religion does. And one of the things that they teach, or what's common in like spirituality or whatever, is that there really is no good or evil. It's just a matter of preference. Because to that quote unquote evil person, they're not really evil. They're just themselves. And that's just how they see things or how they rationalize things. So while you don't understand why this person killed that person or whatever, it might not necessarily be quote unquote wrong. It's just wrong to you for X, Y, and Z reason.
Exactly.
And it's not to say that murder is okay or anything like that. It's just, I guess when you look at it from that perspective, it makes you more sympathetic to people and not so judgmental or negative towards certain people. Because when you think about it in that way, it's like, okay, they're not as bad as I think they are. Because there's always reasons why people do or are the way they are.
Yeah.
Whether you understand it or not, or whether you agree with it or not, you know, it's there. And, you know, I try to do that. I try not to be judgmental. It's very hard. But I found that when I do try to, you know, be that way, because like for instance, there's this guy at work that would irritate the shit out of me just because of certain things he did and everything. But when I sat back and I just really try to, you know, let go of that and let go of my judgment and like, why is he the way he is? Like, he's actually a good person. He's just, you have to accept people for how they are.
Yes.
And not try to change them or manipulate them to your way of thinking. And I think if more people were like that, we wouldn't have the issues that we have. But
and that's, you know, that's another big thing is, you know, holding people to your own standards. You know, your standards are your standards. Not everybody can meet them. And so, some guy works irritating the shit out of you by doing something, you know, really he's not irritating the shit out of you. You're irritating the shit out of yourself. You know?
Well, I'm a very irritable person. So I'm really trying to work on it, and that's all you really can do. But it's just an example. It's like you might not like somebody for whatever reason, but once you get to really know them, it's like they're really not bad. It's just they're different. And you know, just don't try to cast somebody aside so quickly, because I mean, it has no impact on them really. You're just screwing over yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I was actually I volunteer at a drug treatment center on Sunday mornings. That's where I am. I used to shoot videos then, but I decided I needed to spend my time doing something better. And a lot of their perceptions are just, to me, they're really, really out there. But you know, I've had issues with alcohol before, and so I can kind of understand, you know, I can kind of understand the process and the way their minds work as far as the addiction goes. And then it's a matter of, you know, okay, I understand this part of it. Now let's try and understand this part of what the person's going through. And all of them have, you know, 100 million things going on in their lives that are, you know, total disasters, and the world is crashing down around them. And a lot of times, all you have to do is sit back and listen to them talk, pour them a cup of coffee, and you know, they'll work their own problems out. And you just sit there and, you know, you try and work from seeing things, not seeing things from their perspective, but letting go of your judgments towards that type of person. Because, you know, sitting across from someone coming off of heroin, or sitting across from someone that's coming across from meth, can be a really, really frustrating experience if you're not willing to just, you know, accept the person as they are right in front of you right then, and not apply those judgments. Because you meet some gnarly folks doing, you know, working in a place like that. And, you know, it really opens your eyes. And I do that because I do want to remember the type of person I was when I was drinking all the time. And it can be, you know, how hurtful of a person I was, and how neglectful. I neglected a lot of people, and I ran a lot of people just right over the top of them. Didn't care, because they were in the way of my job, or they were in my way because I wanted to date this girl or something like that. And, you know, it's, you have to let your own conceptions of what people should and shouldn't be go doing something like that. It helps me a lot. Helps me a lot to do stuff like that.
Yeah. I've watched a lot of documentaries about, I don't know, I have really weird interests, and I think that's where YouTube really like messes with me. Because like one night I'll be interested in one thing, because it's like I blame, you know how you watch a video and it gives you like a related quote unquote video?
Oh yeah.
Which sometimes is completely unrelated. That's what happens to me. And I'll go from watching one thing to watching freaking documentaries about Jeffrey Dahmer and Charles Manson, and that'll go to schizophrenia. Like, I've watched some weird documentaries, but it gives you a different perspective and things to think about. Because like even things with schizophrenia, which I don't know if this is even any way related to what we're talking about, but it's like, are they really crazy, or are they seeing things that we just can't see? Because you talk to a lot of them, and they seem completely, well, some of them seem really, you know, like highly intelligent. So it's like they're not completely gone, like some of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It's just, it's weird.
And we can, you know, we understand just enough about brain chemistry to correct it and make them see things the way we want to see them versus all that. So.
Right.
Yeah, and some of that stuff we just happen to stumble upon.
Yeah.
Fluffy McMuffin, what's happening? We talked to Mr. Cobra Fire. We were talking about that earlier, man. Stud McMuffin? Schizophrenia is a bitch. Are you schizophrenic? Jordan Sin? He is?
No, I was talking about it earlier, but yeah,
okay.
I don't know. I've watched some, like I said, I've watched some documentaries on it, and it's wild. And then I've watched things about addiction, about people addicted to heroin, like you were talking about. Just, I don't know, I find it interesting how people react to different situations. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I want to have like an insight into why they do the things they do, or how they got to where they are. It's just, it's just like how,
I was gonna say I could offer you an insight into the addictions. All the insight you want. Everyone says it's a slippery slope. It is. You just, you know, you're having a drink or two at night, and the next thing you know, you're having 6 at night. Next thing you know, you're having like 12 at night, every night. and you know that you should stop, and you want to stop a lot of times, and you just can't. It's not a fun experience. And the way your mind works is so different than when it works when you're like off of it. But when you're on your substance, whatever it happens to be, that's really the only focus in your life. You know, I'm having a good day. Well, shit, I'm gonna celebrate. I'm having a bad day. Well, shit, I'm gonna celebrate. You know, dude sideswiped me on the road. Well, shit, I'm gonna go get some beer. You know, make me feel better. And it's people that don't have the issue, I'm not sure will ever get what it's really like. And that's why things like AA are as big as they are, because you can go and sit down and talk to someone who relates. So and people that have the same issues, or at least one of the same issue, and you can just kind of go and vent.
Yeah. Doesn't AA focus on like religion though?
No.
Or like a higher power or something?
A higher power, yeah. Yeah, there's a higher power element to it, but no, it's whatever. The higher power could be the doorknob to the room that got you in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. I know the first AA meeting that I ever went to, it seemed like a cult to me.
Yeah.
Because everyone's sitting around talking about their God, and I'm like, well, what the fuck's your God ever done to me, or done for me?
Yeah.
You know. So.
Yeah, I don't really have an addictive personality, so I've never really had to struggle with any of that. Like when I was a smoker, when I wanted to quit, I just quit. The only time I was really tempted to pick it back up is when I would be drinking for whatever reason, which I didn't really do often after a certain age. But the last time I was tempted to pick, because I've quit smoking, I think twice for like a couple years at a time. And the last time I thought about picking it up, I decided to start vaping instead. And that was like 5-6 years ago. I've been vaping ever since. I personally prefer vaping. I think it's far superior to smoking. But I think I'm in the minority because like my dad, who is a heavy smoker, which I wasn't a heavy smoker. So I think that does have something to do with it. But, you know, he's been, I think his anniversary might actually be today. It's either today or the 13th, something soon, where he's been vaping for a year and off cigarettes for a year.
Tell your dad congratulations from me.
Yeah, it's exciting, you know, and he says he does enjoy vaping, but he doesn't enjoy it quite. To put it in his words, as exact as I can, is he enjoys vaping enough not to smoke, but he still prefers to smoke. Like if you smoke without having any of the bad, you know, side effects or whatever, he would be smoking because it doesn't completely do it for him.
Yeah, I mean, I never imagined myself actually, you know, fully quitting smoking because I quite frankly enjoyed it too much.
See, I never really did. I enjoyed the effect of it, not really the act of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Fluffy's exactly right. It starts as an escape, and then it becomes the only escape.
Yeah.
15 years. Congrats, Fluffy. Congrats. I'm running headlong at 3 myself.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, I can't really completely understand, I guess, but
yeah.
Because like
go for it.
The only like addictive type things that run in my family are alcoholism. Like both of my dad's parents were alcoholics at one point. My grandma was when she was younger. She had to quit for medical reasons because she has fibromyalgia and stuff like that, so she can't drink anymore. And then my dad's dad, he, to my knowledge, still is a heavy drinker. So that's really the only thing that runs in the family. No like hard drug use or anything like that. So I've never really had to deal with it personally.
There you go. Look at all them sober folks out there in the audience. Congratulations to every single one of you.
That's what we're really here for.
Congrats. And you get there on your own. I mean, you know, sometimes it's eventually, just like Fluffy said, eventually it comes down to a choice. And either you're gonna run off the deep end with it, or you're gonna make the choice that you need to be sober. 4 years drug-free on the 7th. Congrats, Singer.
And I imagine being in the band and everything makes that harder.
Oh yeah.
Because that kind of life, I mean, that shit's everywhere.
Yeah.
That's why I can kind of understand why all these entertainment people are so hard into it. Because number one, it's an escape, and number two, it's just so accessible to them.
It's you know, for a lot of them, when you hear them talk, it's the only way they feel normal.
Right.
So.
And that's, I don't know. And I think that a lot of that is because of the general public and the pressures that they put on them, not to give them a pass, like a complete pass, but I couldn't imagine being in their position, having to deal with the shit they have to deal with.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you go and you walk down the street and you look funny at somebody and it's a news story all over the place. So having that much attention focused on you, and we do it to them. We're the ones doing it to them. So
just like Britney Spears and her breakdowns and stuff, and how people were giving her so much shit about it. It's like, could you imagine being in her shoes? I'd be crazier than she ever, you know, came out to be. Especially when they start at a young age, you know, when they're a kid and that's how they grow up. They don't really have a childhood. Yeah. I mean, it fucks you up.
Yeah, because she was hanging with Disney for the longest.
Yeah, she was in the Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah.
With Justin Timberlake, which is ironic because Justin Timberlake, for as far as we see, seemed to turn out pretty normal.
And you know, we all deal with the difference. Some people go to Las Vegas and shave their heads, and
yeah.
Other people marry Jessica Biel.
Yeah, right. But I mean, there are a lot of pressures on women, especially in the entertainment business, and I think that has a lot to do with it. Because it's
and we, you know, go ahead before I start going.
No, I was just gonna say, like, you know, you're either too skinny or you're too fat or your boobs are too small or too big, and you can't please everybody. You just can't.
No, and you know, it's still you know, despite all the progress we've made, it's still a male-dominated society.
Yeah.
You know, equality is out the window. You know, a lot of times. So I don't know how Fresh 08 is able to deal with all the fame. Man, Fresh 08. Man, I need to meet this dude. He's five after me, and he's that much more successful.
He's the updated version.
Yeah, he got the upgrade. It skipped me. I'm waiting for this fresh 10 dude to release his album.
Yeah, you're not so fresh anymore, I guess.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy though. I want to eventually, not anytime soon, but eventually I do want to get into, and this is completely off topic or kind of anyway. I'm sure you've heard of ayahuasca or ayahuasca, however you put it.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's a natural like mixture of plants or whatever, and it's supposed to. It's a I'm trying to think of the word. It's not psychedelic. It's something among kind of those lines, but essentially it's supposed to. It's not like a regular drug. It's something that's supposed to heighten your consciousness, I guess.
Expand your consciousness, just like LSD.
Well, I don't know about LSD, but I don't know.
LSD's it's all about the people you're with. LSD is.
Yeah, it could be a common thing because I've watched a couple of videos about mushrooms and how mushrooms can actually be something like that depending on the situation and how you get into, like, basically it's based on your intent, which a lot of things are.
Shrooms are a good time. I'll tell you that much. Shrooms are, every time I've done them, it's been a good time. Jordan Sin wants you to say something for him. I was trying not to laugh.
Yeah, I saw it. I mean, no comment, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I'm not like a feminist in any way. It's just there is definitely a prejudice.
Yeah.
You know, especially in like my field that I'm trying to get into, you know, being in technology and, you know, information technology, however you want to put it. There's a definite prejudice to men, or a preference of men above women.
That's because they're all the, you know, I've said it before, nerds have taken over the world, and it's the guys have an easier time dealing with guys than they do with women, because no matter what, no matter how good a friend a guy is to you, at some point he's going to want and probably will try to fuck you at some point.
Yeah.
That's how we are. That's how our brain chemistry is made up. That's a proven fact right there. That's a proven fact. Mr. Cobra Fire, I won't get into it, but yeah, everything's okay.
Yeah, mind-altering substances is what I was looking for.
Are you gonna make a hallucinogenic e-juice? No.
No.
I'm done with hallucinogens. I'm done with things that alter me further than I alter myself.
It's something I want to do when I'm older, because like it's from what I've, you know, heard or whatever, you have to be in a good state of mind to really get what I'm looking for out of it. Like you can't have like a bunch of shit that you have to deal with, because it'll force you to deal with that shit as you're doing it. Especially with the ayahuasca, however you pronounce that. It basically forces you to deal with your subconscious problems. And it can be really bad if you have a lot of shit that you're not dealing with, which that's kind of how I deal with things, is I don't. So I don't want to do that until I'm in a good state of mind. It's part of the reason I stopped, you know, doing, you know, the regular stuff, is because I had too many issues and I would have panic attacks every time I did it. It was something I used to enjoy thoroughly. Then I started having the panic attacks for a different reason. And ever since then, I just can't enjoy it the way I used to. So, you know, if you don't enjoy it, what's the point of doing it?
Exactly.
You know, and it makes me extremely lazy and unmotivated, and I don't need that. But,
that one I couldn't stop myself from laughing.
what, the grandma or John Hopkins?
The John Hopkins things doesn't surprise me. What Jordan Sin said.
I don't know who that is.
What's wrong with Grandma? Why she's tripping again? Old lady Rin drinking her ayahuasca, laying out on the couch.
I'm not having kids, so there won't be a grandma.
Good call.
That's one thing I have no interest in, is reproduction.
Strangely enough, neither do I. So there's enough bad genes in my family. Besides, my little sister's made up for it. She's helping the population continue.
I don't know. I just have never really had interest in having kids. It's never been a thing.
Me either. Everybody tells me I'm good around them. I'm like, I can take them or leave them.
They make me feel very awkward.
All their innocence.
No, it's not that. It's just, I guess it's because I don't like them. I just don't feel comfortable around them.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are misbehaved, which aren't, you know, it's not the kids' fault, it's the parents, but I guess I just don't know how to interact with them, because it just feels like forced, I guess. That's like the one thing I don't like about my job, is like a lot of times when I'm delivering the food, the kids are there and they're, you know, trying to grab the food and do all this shit. It's like, come on now, I'm just trying to do my job, get the F out of my way. I don't want to have to deal with your kids or your little shit dogs. Drives me nuts.
reproductive practice is fun. It is indeed, John Muller. But there are ways to go ahead and neutralize your chances of having a child.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. I can't even. We've been talking for a while.
Yeah, we have. Let's see. Well, it's 5 o'clock now, and I think you called me at 2:30.
I don't. Your time is different. It's been probably.
You called me. You called me at 3. So we've been talking for a little over 2 hours.
Yeah. Trying to think. Probably shouldn't tell all my stories at once.
No, I mean it's just kind of fun to jump out there and have a conversation, and I don't know, I'm enjoying this. Just having a conversation, and you see the feedback over there, and sometimes that helps. Having a conversation with people online versus actually seeing them face to face. You're getting yourself some blind feedback rather than talking at somebody that can answer you, and you can see them, and you can see the judgment in their eyes.
Well, I like the chat. Like I didn't want to do the video without the chat because I want them to be able to interact and ask questions, and like you said, sometimes they give good suggestions or whatever, keep things kind of flowing, because you get stuck when you're talking about something for hours on end. It's like, okay, what do I talk about now? I mean, we started at ghost stories and ended up talking about drugs, so it's like talk about Britney Spears, and it's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of why I dig the live stuff. I do like just kind of being able to go wherever.
Yeah. Surprised that Raven's into the paranormal stuff. That's a good thing about the paranormal is like you never know who's interested in it.
Oh, I'm interested. Just 9/10 of it I can explain away, with the way my brain works, and that 10th thing, that's the one that gets my attention. Like, I can't explain that. I really want to know more.
Yeah, I have a lot of those things. Well,
that'd be really awesome.
What?
Jordan said.
Yeah, if any of you guys want to join any of my chats, you're more than welcome to. It's not like the vaping thing where it's, whatever. But like, if you guys want to come in and chat and all that good stuff, just once the video is up, just let me know over there, and I'll send you a link to join in. It's open to whoever.
Yeah.
Because it's it's my show.
Exactly.
I do what I want.
Exactly. And the thing about something, a lot of people are like, Fresh, can I join in? Fresh, can I join in? Because I really want to ask Mike Vapes this thing. Well, how are you going to feel when I boot you 10 seconds after you've spewed off at Mike Vapes or the Vapor Chronicles or Big Lou or something like that?
Right.
So it's my Wednesday show is a more controlled environment. So.
Yeah. Which I definitely understand. I definitely understand, because you invite a person and then they start talking about whatever, and it's like, then you feel like you're in a weird position because you don't want to be rude, and I know that's how you are. Like, you don't want to come across as, because you don't seem very confrontational.
You've never seen me in the right situation. When I deal with things, I deal with them right then if I can't see a way around it.
Yeah, but you don't like doing it, I'm sure.
No, I don't.
Right. So it's like you don't want to come across as rude or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, you've been around when I've dealt with it, when someone comes on that is kind of making the rest of the panel feel awkward or something like that. I slowly but surely everything's gonna end. Within about 10 minutes that show is going to be over.
All right. Well, we either need a break or I need a break, or we need to end.
We can end. I mean, 2 hours, pretty good show, and then let me know next time you want to do something like this. I'm totally down.
Yeah, I'm not sure about a schedule though, because today was completely random. I was supposed to work. I'm supposed to be working right now, but I guess it's so slow that my boss called me and was like, you know, do you want the day off? And hell yeah, I want the day off. It's dead. I don't make money. It's pointless.
Yeah, absolutely.
With my job, it's highly based on tips. So if I don't get deliveries, I'm making minimum wage. So I'd rather be home. And
Yeah,
I've been working.
absolutely.
Yeah, I worked Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So, I mean, I know it's not like a lot, but where I work, it's very stressful. So, yeah, I'm good for a break.
Yeah. And right now we're standing on top of Vaping Fagan. So
Yeah. Okay.
his show's on, so.
All right, but yeah, Jordan, if you want to talk about it, definitely that would be very interesting. So once I have a show up, I'll send it out, and then if you want to talk, just tell me in the chat that you want to invite or whatever. Whoever wants an invite, you know, I'll let you come in.
So we got the thumbs up from Fluffy, so that's a thumbs up for me.
Thanks, Fluffers.
Fluffer.
All right, well, I need to go because I need to take care of some business. So,
Alrighty.
Thanks for coming on, Fresh, of course, and Dirty and Raven. Definitely welcome anytime, and whoever else, like I said, you know, come aboard the crazy train.
Well, thank you for having me. I had a good time.
All right, bye,
Later.
guys.